So we've just viewed the open position where you're always playing the root note of your chord, the one at the bottom, the fifth note of your chord, the one on the top, in the original position, and then again the root note of your chord. So in the C chord, it's C, the root note, G is the fifth note, and so you're playing C, G, C. Does that work for another chord? Yes. Oh, it didn't line up. Sorry about that. It didn't line up. So again, if it was G, you'd be playing the root note, G, and the root note, also G. And then you're playing the fifth note of your chord, which is, in this case, D. Here it is. That's called the fifth note of your chord. Now, let's see if it lines up when I scroll. That's all I wrote. I could have done the same thing for F. Okay, so basically, that is the last video. But if you're more advanced and you got that down, you want to do an inversion in open position. What does that mean? You're more advanced. Don't listen to this, it will confuse you if you're not there yet. What is first inversion? First inversion means that the bottom note needs to be E, right? In the closed position, which you already mastered before you watch this video, you know already that the bottom note needs to be E for it to be called in first inversion. So you're doubling that note. Pinky and thumb will always play the same note in open position, but this is open position first inversion. So what's my note in the middle? Well, most of the time we choose the root to be there. Not always, I wouldn't say always, but most of the time we choose the name of your chord to be here, your root note. So let's see that on the keys. C chord, open position, root note, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fifth note, root note. That would be the previous video. If you want to do open position in inversion, here's my first inversion. The note at the bottom needs to be E, so the note on top needs to be E. What do I choose to put in the middle? Well, what are my notes in C? C, E, G, C. So I can choose this one or this one. Most of the time we choose this one because it's more comfortable for the hand, right? You're seeing me pointing to the keys that belong in your C chord. That's why I say don't do this unless you already mastered all your chords in inversion. Whether you're going up and down, don't do this unless you already masters how to move around your open position. Do not watch this video. So those who are at this point, this is open position, first inversion. Most of the time we choose this because going like this, it's not as easy because you're using fingers that are not as easy. So most of the time inversion for open position in the first inversion is this one. And so you can practice your open position, first inversion, open position, right? And then go to the second inversion. Here's the second inversion, and the left hand is written as fifth note because second inversion means the fifth note of your chord G will be the one that's doubled between your pinky and your thumb. It's the same note. So the note at the bottom is G. What do we choose in the middle? We can choose both. So this is also second inversion. Second inversion meaning what? The fifth note of your chord, which is, remember the fifth note of the chord? If you look back at the root position here, you'll understand. That is the fifth note of your chord, explained before in the previous videos. that note, the fifth note of your chord, will be at the bottom, G, right? Will be at the bottom and the top. And in both cases here, you have G, bottom and top, pinky and thumb. But the note in the middle can be either the root of your chord, C, or the other one, the third of your chord, E. Is your third of your chord, back up here. That's the third of your chord. And of course, your root of your chord is C. Yeah, that's a review from the other video. For any chord, the bottom note is always called the root note. The note above it is called the third of your chord. The note above that is called the fifth of your chord. So here it is. This is open position, left hand. There are two options, but you first have to know that you're in second inversion, meaning the fifth note is being doubled. G is being doubled. So let's do both of these versions on the keys. So here's my C chord, first inversion, and second inversion has G at the bottom, right? Okay, so if I have G as open position, what notes in the middle can I choose? I can choose, here it is, C or E. And you can work on both. It will be 5-3-1. It makes sense that your hand is not tilted that way. So the 3 makes sense more. So you want to keep your hands as parallel fingers to the keys as possible. So 5-3-1. Now if you had not chosen the name of your chord root note, but you chose the third of your chord instead, that would be the fingering for that one, 5-2-1. So for open positions, you either can choose or, in summary now, open position for more advanced students, open position, root. First inversion, first of all, pinky and thumb has to be on E. What do we choose in the middle? From the notes C, E, and G, we choose C, because this is a little harder. Second inversion, thumb and pinky needs to be on G. What do we choose in the middle? There are two options. We can choose C, the name of your chord, or we can choose E, the third of your chord. So if I were practicing smoothly, I would do 2 times first inversion, second inversion the other way, and then back to root position. And of course going down when you have that mastered. So that would be technique for the more advanced.